Okay, yes, so I'm Tommy Nagra. I am the creative director for BBC Children in Need. I've been in the creative industries for, oh my gosh, too long, almost 30 years. Worked in lots of parts, both the BBC and outside the BBC. Really passionate about arts, culture, media, telling stories. It's what I've done my whole career. I'm originally from Birmingham, very proud to be from Handsworth in Birmingham. And yeah, it's been quite a journey the last 3 decades and huge changes, and it's great to see young talent coming through, especially places like Birmingham, which are quite unique and distinctive. So I started my career in Birmingham at a place called Pebble Mill, which was a big production house, and I started off as a runner, just kind of making tea, answering the phones, coming up with ideas, and on a very short contract, and I ended up staying at the BBC for years and years and years. So I moved around a lot. Where I really cut my teeth was in Birmingham back in the day. They had what was then known as a multicultural programs department, which was making documentaries, arts, lifestyle, music shows for predominantly black and Asian audiences. So I worked across both. Growing up in Handsworth and in Birmingham, I kind of, I bought that kind of lived experience of growing up there. So I grew up in Birmingham and Handsworth through, the 70s and 80s and the riots and all those things, and stayed in Birmingham actually the bulk of my career. I moved up to Manchester 10 years ago when the BBC had a big investment, and I became the head of religion and ethics here in Manchester. I then worked in children's. I went back to Birmingham to head up BBC Birmingham, worked in multicultural programmes, left the BBC for 5 years, worked in the independent sector, did a few projects for Channel 4, went to New York, went to Jerusalem. So very varied career, so started off as a researcher, worked my way up to being a producer, director of my own films, and then a series producer, and then an exec producer, and a head of department. And I'm currently doing a very special job, which is as the creative director at Children in Need. I've always wanted to do things that make a difference. So Children in Need is the BBC charity. We fund 3,000 projects supporting children, young people all around the UK for a whole range of disadvantage. And it's all about making a difference. So I'd say I'm kind of at the stage of my career where I really want to put something back, and Children in Need enables me to do that.
So I would say, if we go back a bit from first starting off at Pebble Mill, you started off as a runner. So could you tell me what the process was to kind of move up the ladder?
I was one of the few people from my school who actually ended up going to university and stuff. So I went to university and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was really interested in journalism, but I never saw people like me, either in front of or behind the camera, especially I'm talking way back in the early 90s, late 80s. So it didn't feel like a career. I didn't really plan it or think it through. There was an organisation called CSV Media who so I'd done my degree, I'd come back to Birmingham. The majority of the industry was very London-centric, so you kind of felt you had to move to London to try and get your foot on the door. But I was quite lucky. There was an advert in the Evening Mail, I think I remember, where they were looking for trainee researchers, runners, to work on a new daytime series that was moving to Pebble Mill in Birmingham called Good Morning Anne and Nick. And they were wanting people to answer the phone and put callers on air and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, man, I've done a degree and stuff, but actually, you got to start somewhere. So it was supposed to be just a year-long scheme. So I did that, but actually that got my foot in the door. And then through that, I got a researcher contract, worked in the multicultural programs department. I was always I watched lots of TV, I consumed lots of media, I was really interested in the world around me, and I was lucky that at the time there was what was then a multicultural programs department who were like, oh, we'll give you a 6-month contract. I ended up staying there for almost 10 years, and ended up heading up the department, but worked my way up and worked on lots of different shows and documentaries and all sorts. So I cut my teeth very much there. I think I was quite lucky. I mean, ideas can come from anywhere, okay? And I think, especially in the media and in broadcast, you know, there is a real, you know, we've got to tell stories. That's what we are. We're a storytelling organisation. Everyone's got a story. Every single person's got a story. I think when I was fresh and young, I was a bit naive. I wanted to change the world, you know, and it's not as simple as that. The first thing I would advise is really get yourself a really good mentor. So I was very lucky that once I got into the BBC, there were some brilliant producers and directors who I just watched and learned from. I just asked, can I just shadow you, or can I just be of help? You know, whatever you want me to do. And I had to work really hard. I mean, that's the thing. It's not glamorous. So this business is not, you know, it's actually hard work, you know, behind the scenes. So I think one of the defining moments for me is I had a young black woman who was a producer-director who was filming a documentary at the time. And she had been filming, and I just said, look, can I help you in any way? Because I've got to make documentaries. I've never made one, but I just wanted to show Willie. And she said, well, actually, you could really help me. Can you go through all the material that I've shot and just shot list it? Because in those days, you had to shot list it. You go into an edit, and then you... And there was something like 23 half-hour tapes. And what I did, I'm not saying that you should do this, but I watched all of them. I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning in the office. When she came back the following day, I'd done a shot list of every single thing. She came in, she goes, have you just done that? I said, yeah. I said, it was really interesting, and I've highlighted. She said, I only wanted you to look at a couple of them. I said, no, I just wanted to help you. And she said, this is brilliant. And that showed her that actually I had the hunger, the appetite, and the interest. And she then recommended me to the boss to say, that guy there, you know, he's really hardworking, if you can. And then they gave me a contract extension, and then you know, so it's about the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's really difficult, especially in the creative industries, where a lot of people expect you to do things for free. And I think it's got better, but when I was starting out, the sense was you had to go to London. Now, if you're growing up in Handsworth, I can't afford to go and move to London. I was lucky that there was a production base in Birmingham where I was able to get my foot in the door. There is an element where you've got to show what you're worth, and sometimes it's, you know, it's shooting a short film on your phone. It's that story, like I said to you, you know, I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't have to do that. I wasn't getting paid for it, but what it did was it showed whoever was going to employ me that, oh, this guy isn't just here just for, you know, a 9-to-5 job, because it's not, our jobs aren't 9 to 5. And sometimes you've got to show that, you know, you're willing to do that. There's a fine line between that and exploitation. Okay, so this is where you need to really think about actually just using my skills for free, whereas actually, are you learning? So my thing is, well, actually, this is learning, and I'm getting the opportunity to develop whatever I'm doing, and they're going to give me a platform. Okay, I don't necessarily need paying, and I can still be in Birmingham and live at my mum's house and not paying rent and all that. It's harder, I think it's easier now because technology's made the world smaller. You can do things in your bedroom, you can do things on your phone now creatively, which just wasn't there for me when I was starting out decades ago. So, but I think it's up to the individual, you know, if you want to enter the creative industries because you want to earn lots of money, and you know, that will only get you so far, and you'll get found out. You've got to have a passion for it. You've got to have a passion for storytelling, you know, however you do it. But yeah, it's a fine line. You got to know when actually are you being exploited, and when you're being exploited and you feel you're being exploited, then just don't do it. So, okay, so if the question is how do you go about getting your work commissioned? I think the first thing you got to do is you got to do a bit of research. It's like, what are people looking for? So a funder. So for me, in the world of television and broadcasting, It's no point me just coming up with a random idea saying, what about this? You've got to understand, you know, if that's for BBC Three, I've got to understand who's the audience, what are the kind of shows that have worked on there, what's the kind of things that have done well, what hasn't done well, what are the things that they're looking for. And you can do your research through looking at people's briefs and what they're looking for, and tailor your ideas. So rather than coming up with something kind of left field, come up with something that's going to work for them. Then it's about convincing them that you can deliver it. Now that comes through your experience or track record or people that you partner with. You know, if you've got gaps that you're not good at, that's fine. Build a team around you of people who can plug those gaps. You know, you can't all be creative. You'll need someone who's going to run the budget for you, or write a script for you, or run the camera for you, or do the editing. Whatever it is, build a small team around you. But there's no right, this is the way you do it, here's the magic formula, go off and do it, because ideas can come from anywhere, and some of the best ideas, you know, come from the man in the street, you know. But it's about having an idea is just the beginning. It's then about delivering it. So how does it look on? We can talk about the best idea in the world sim right now. That's an amazing idea. That's just the beginning. I think for most young creatives right now, I think it's very easy to kind of go, oh my gosh, this is too hard. I would say that this is the golden age of broadcasting. When I say broadcasting, broad, as in broad, not just television, not just radio, this is online, this is podcasts, this is blogs, this is vlogs, there's a whole new world that's opened up. It's no longer about the big broadcasters like BBC and ITV and Channel 4. You know, people can create their own kind of platforms. I mean, look what Jamal Edwards, God rest his soul, achieved, you know, just with a camera and an idea, and opened up doors for so many people. Technology is a game changer, you know, embrace it, learn your craft, use your youth and your energy and your enthusiasm to take you on your journey, you know, but embrace it. You know, sometimes people go, oh, the golden age of television was in 1975. I disagree with that. There's never been so much choice. I don't know what to watch when I go home. There's too much choice, in fact. When I was growing up, you had 3 channels. That was it. And they were all right, and you got to watch at that time or you miss it. That world has changed. So it's a whole new world that young people are in. And it's about embracing it and kind of looking at the opportunities within that creative sector where you can express yourself and your creativity and bring your true self to your storytelling as well.